Morning, y'all. Gonna talk the US Open today. Really excited about the buzz around tomorrow's starting US Open because Pebble Beach just seems to have all the players really excited. It's a real positive attitude going on. So let's talk about what the US Open means to different people. Why is it the second and for some people third most important major, which, considering it's one of the biggest, if not the biggest golfing nations in the world, their Open, their in theory biggest tournament, it often surprises me that this one isn't the biggest. Let's talk US Open venues. I mean, the US Open uses some amazing courses and venues for its tournament, and the idea of pushing the scoring or trying to keep the scoring around par, pushing those kind of conditions to make sure the players are being challenged, or the toughest test, I think is what they're quoted of saying possibly. I think it's exciting, I think it's good, and I think it does produce often fantastic champions. I do think that sometimes they've pushed it to the limits. Speaking with some of the guys who have played in it, they've said to me that yes, it's been verging on unfair in places, which is a shame. I think that's bad planning and maybe getting a little too overexcited with trying to push that par number. And I think that's what harms it. I think that's what knocks it down to some people's thirds, is the fact that it can become a little bit crazy and unfair. What's great about this year, obviously, is with the atmosphere around such an iconic venue that's held it enough times with some great champions there. I think people are going to trust, hopefully, that they can look after the course and the condition to make the event fair and that brutal good test. I like them pushing the scores around par. I think some people don't, which is why they push it down. And I do think USGA have got it wrong a few years, Chambers Bay being one to mention, where, to be honest with you, they were trying something different, which is good, but just got it a little bit wrong, and I think that just hurts them. Keeping those venues fair but a good test, that's all anyone wants for the US Open, because we definitely get to see some amazing courses, from Pinehurst to Pebble, Torrey Pines and many others. I've got no problem with people hacking out of the rough. Players miss the fairway. If they're in rough, they got to hack out. I'm up for that. Accuracy needs to be something that is tested in. I mean, you watch the PGA Tour year in, year out, and it's not tested enough accuracy, is it? And I like the fact that they try to test that. Here's Danny Boy, cup of tea in hand. Coach just warming up to collect some numbers on an iron. Majors. List your, out the four majors, Matt, list your order of what you would want to win.
Masters, Open, don't care.
Dan?
Open, US Open, Masters, what? PGA.
Interesting. So you are putting the Open...
That's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
You're putting the US Open...
When you go to the Masters next year, you'll change
It's only because he hasn't been to the Masters. So why would you put the US Open and US PGA, like you've bunged them away, as in you're happy with either of those, but they're not... What's that about?
I don't know if it's different this. I know we've just had a chat, but I don't know if there's more of a buzz this year because it's the change of order and they're coming all in a nice quick monthly bang bang bang. Like sometimes it's like the US PGA was the last one, was it? And it was kind of like last one, no one really cared.
Yeah.
Miles away from the Masters where there's a buzz.
Yeah.
So I think there's a bit of that in there.
I would say the buzz is about the course as well.
Yeah,
people
and
are
the course,
loving being at Pebble, I think.
But I just think there's more of a buzz when wherever the course is for the Open, like people just love it.
Yeah.
That's my personal. I don't really have a reason.
How many US Opens have you both watched on telly? How many Masters have you watched on telly?
Every year.
Every one that you've played golf, I guess.
Every year at the Open as well.
And I was going to say, and then the Open, how many of those have you watched on telly?
Yeah.
Every year. How many US Opens have you watched?
Like even the US Open, I probably watched the weekend, not even Thursday, Friday type stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm always trying to watch all the Masters and all the Open. Like the Open's fun because it's our time and you watch it throughout the day when you're editing and stuff as well, isn't it? And you used to sit in your pro shop and watch it. Like it was all
I would
good.
agree. I think that the Masters has been televised over the years probably better.
Yeah.
Because the BBC have got massively behind it and things like that in the past. The US Open not so much.
Little point on that, just quickly.
yeah,
Little point on that. Do you
closing
know
it
why the Masters is the time it's at?
Yeah, because of the press.
Correct.
Yeah.
The press used to come back from the West Coast at that time because there were events in the 19 whenever it
Right.
started,
Just
and they
following it
wanted
around.
them. The Masters understood that if their event got press,
Yeah.
that it would be successful. More players would want to come. The invites would be easier. So they always had the press in mind, which is quite an interesting point. I think what they're doing with their event. So when it comes to the US Open, you haven't watched many of them on telly.
I think probably over the years I have. I can't. They don't ring bells with me. You know, I remember Justin Rose winning, and I remember.
Did you
remember
watch
the
that
Pebble
one,
Beach
though?
one? Yeah, I watched snippets of it in the evenings. You know,
Yeah.
because it was obviously was it Marion?
Marion, yeah.
He won it.
Yeah.
But obviously, I remember Tiger Woods obviously winning by a massive amount at Pebble last.
Yeah.
I think it was the last time it was there. Was it?
No, because that would have been GMAC after that.
GMAC,
Yeah.
GMAC
Yeah.
2010 was he?
Yeah.
Something like that.
2010.
So I remember that one as well. I watched that one.
Yeah.
GMAC winning. But again, they were always finishing quite late. Let's say on a Sunday, and you're working early
Yeah,
Monday
but the
morning and
Masters is
things.
spinning late, and you would watch every one
Yeah,
of
I reckon I've watched just as much Masters as I have US Open
That
over the years.
surprises me. That's,
You're lying again.
yeah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all.
Everyone stays up for the Masters on a
Yeah.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Today? Yeah.
Well, the US Open never used to be on telly, so you wouldn't have
No.
been able to watch it.
Sky, was it not? It was always on
Well,
Sky.
have you
wasn't it?
only ever played golf when Sky was around? Because obviously I was pre-Sky,
No,
so
yeah.
there was no way of watching the US Open. It wasn't. No one. You had a few highlights, but not. It wasn't really televised.
Yeah.
I can't think now.
Definitely Masters and Open, isn't it?
So for me, the biggest thing with the Open that made me want to know about it more, the courses were amazing because they were so different to what we were used to seeing. I think the Masters has a big advantage over everything because it's the same course every year. I think that's work. I think in that conversation we just had there, one of the standout things is that the Masters is at the same course every year. And that makes us have repeat history in our minds. And it's easy to compare winner to winner. Like it's really easy to consume. Not only for the press, but because of that. Where the US Open, was it Marion that year? And where did he win it?
Yeah.
And where did he? And then maybe those courses aren't known to us over in the UK like the Open courses are as much. So they get thrown away in our heads a bit more.
You could definitely, you could name the last 5 Masters champions, couldn't you?
Yeah, and you're struggling to
yeah.
get. I mean, Dan couldn't remember that Brooks
Brooks
Koepka
Koepka
won the last
back.
2 years.
Yeah,
We were
yeah.
just talking up there about him not being in the advert. Interesting, yeah. I think the US Open, where the US Open obviously has struggled through the years, which I've said already a bit in the video, is what it's done with the courses and those kind of things. And obviously just to get its identity out there for other people outside of America to really engage with it, which I think this conversation shows a bit more of.
Well, do you want to know
It's
something?
wide open.
Wide open, pick
I think
one.
it's
It is
wide
wide
open. Pick one.
Jim Furyk.
That's who you're going for?
Yeah.
Like that?
Furyk.
Justin Rose.
Because McIlroy's never made the cut at Pebble Beach. Do you know that?
Didn't know that.
Brooks Koepka's never won in California.
Didn't know that.
There was something about Dustin talk sport and something about Dustin Johnson, but can't remember. And Tiger Woods has won by 10, so he's going to win.
Yeah, you picked
Jim Furyk.
yeah, so you
Boom.
can't change now.
No.
Tiger hater. So let's look at some of the Twitter responses I got from my poll earlier. So Dino says US Open finds a way to embarrass itself every year. The Open is historic and majestic. I kind of agree with embarrassing itself sometimes. I think there's points we've been kind of making. But the historic bit as well, if you think about probably the other events, it's got history, isn't it? Joshua says, I love the US Open, my favourite major, but the Open is just so damn historic. Again, it's that history point again they're making, which I think is just really interesting. So Chubb says, it's a real toss-up, but I choose the Open due to the USGA's propensity to choose deficient venues and spoil the events with stupid course setups decisions. True links golf, being a foreigner to many of us Yanks, there's just something special about the Open. And that's a repeater, isn't it? It's the venue, how it's set up, and then history that so many are choosing as their pick. For me, the US Open's really special. The history is there. I think maybe the modern day kind of average viewer doesn't really understand the amazing history that's there. I mean, I certainly didn't until I started this video. Had amazing champions and amazing championships over the years, and I do really believe, as I'm hoping the USGA kind of understand now, I'm sure they do, you must do, is that the venue you put it at, as the Masters proves, and I kind of think the Open Rotor kind of proves as we see repeat Open Rotor venues, the venue's so key to the players being so positive about an event, and then if the players and the coverage is positive, then I think that reflects out at the audience. It's so easy in golf to just get on the negative bandwagon. With the way the press is set up to feast on negativity more than positivity so much, I think as soon as there's some negativity flying around, the chat, rather than being talking about how great this event is, starts turning into how silly this is, or how difficult the course is, or how wrong the USGA are getting it. I'm totally can't wait for the US Open starting tomorrow. My pick for a winner. See your picks down there as well. Hit the thumbs up button while you're down there. Don't be afraid to post a comment and let us know what your winners, who your favourite winner would be. My pick, God, it's so open. It's Spieth. My pick's Spieth. Let's hear yours. One other question as well, which I haven't done enough research to really understand the numbers, but why did the Europeans not fare so well in the US Open? What is it? Why have we not won more US Opens? It's an interesting one. Let me know your thoughts.